Every year since 2019, teachers of French from all over the world gather around during an event called International French Teachers' Day. The goal of this event is to create cohesion and solidarity through the sharing of experiences. This year, several celebrations will be organized by the Institut Français, the Alliance Française, the Centers for French Teaching and Documentation, and the different associations of French teachers in Nigeria. These events will be an opportunity for them to exchange, meet, and share their practices through conferences, debates, video projections, and games. I hope that these events will not only be inspiring, but also encouraging, as I know that many teachers have to demonstrate courage and creativity to create an efficient and fun learning experience. And I would like to take this opportunity today to congratulate all the French teachers who passionately transmit their love and show that teaching French is a vast and exciting field. The theme of this 4th edition is French Teacher, Creator of the Future. Behind this theme, there is the idea that teachers do more than teaching French. They also empower their students with a skill that is very valuable and can impact their future. It is indeed important to situate the learning of the French language in a professional future in the fields of research, economics, science, citizenship, and why not even diplomacy. The testimonies that you are about to discover are a great illustration of all these points and a reminder that we have to continue to work hand in hand with the Nigerian educative authorities to provide more opportunities for regular training and access to their resources. Once again, I wish you a great International Teachers' Day.
Got this job in 2018 and then I think I started teaching in May 2018, yeah. So effectively 4 years, give or take.
I've been teaching French for over 8 years, but professionally it's about 5 years, more than 5 years I've been teaching French.
I've been teaching French for 7 years now. When it comes to inspiration, first of all, as a teacher, I try to get their confidence and make sure they trust me a lot, because once I've gotten that, they start admiring me as a person, and the moment comes when they start asking, but how did you learn French? And then I know the inspiration has already started coming, and they are mostly inspired by my story when I tell them how it started, and then when I also let them know that I had no background in French at all. I don't have parents that speak French. I just started like them in the university, and then I told them about my adventure, and then when they listen to my French, they're like, wow. And then they get inspired with the fact that if I could learn French at the university and speak as well as I do, they also can. And so that's just it. And I help them, I advise them, and I recommend some materials that can really work for them. And also I tell them about the opportunities that lies ahead for those that speak French. And I must say I'm like the #1 inspiration for my students.
It's been a mix of stuff. I found that new generations, they like music. So for instance, I incorporate songs of Nigerian artists who speak French. For instance, there's the rapper Folarin Falana, I think he's called Falz the Bad Guy. So there are a few of his songs where he speaks French, and then I use these songs, as it were, to inspire the new generation. I find that they're interested in music. I also find a few movies online where I suggested them, and then I tell them, go watch X movie, go watch Y movie, and then they use it to keep inspired.
French language is an interesting language, and I also noticed that language barrier is one of the major problems in social integration. Learning a second language helps a lot to have access to some civic rights. So I believe learning French language is a plus for the younger generation who would want to progress, who would want to make it to the top in their career. So
I keep watching students to find out, because they have different way of learning French. Some are very slow learners, some are fast learners. So I do go according to the way the student learn. I go according to the patterns of my student in class.
Well, at the beginning, people feel it's very difficult, but gradually, I think a lot of people have started understanding that French language is one of the best language because it's easy to speak, it's very romantic, it's, as they say. And then I think it's not, the apprehension is no longer very hard on learners. Yes, actually it's easy to convince people to learn the language.
Learning French, especially those in Nigeria, is very important because as you step out of the country, you are going to meet someone who speaks the French language. So not just professionally, for the sake of communication, I believe it's important that one learns the French language.
So I try to remind them of the fact that, I mean, nothing comes easy. So they just have to have a focused mindset, a growth mindset towards the language, and then they can make it. And then that's just it. And I give them the different ways that can work for them, you know, by getting them materials, listening to the radio, watching the TV. And most importantly, I remind my students of how I learned French. I learned French through something that I love doing. I love singing, everybody knows that. So I started learning French by listening to French songs. So I sing a lot. So I'm like, okay, I want to sing in a different language. And that's how I get the lyrics. And the moment I get the lyrics, to be able to actually be in the act, I try to find out the meanings of those words so I can interpret it well on the stage.
French grammar is difficult, there is no lies about that. But what I tell my students is that they're going to master it. And then as we say in French, ça va aller. So basically, it's a case of a step-by-step process. Then I also make them understand that it's not very different for here in the Nigerian context. It's not very different from the Anglophone context. The grammar is not very different from English grammar. So I make them understand that if they have mastered English grammar, then yes, they can master French grammar.
Tomorrow, French teachers should be renovating. Especially, he shouldn't just sit on his own and be in his own village, in his own world. He has to go out there to find out from others how they go and keep watching on renovation ways of teaching French online, on YouTube, and why not with colleagues too?
Well, more interactive, I think. And then I also believe that the French teaching of tomorrow will be using internet because of the last pandemic. We've acquired new tools of teaching, which are basically online. It's more easy and comfortable for most people. They can learn French from home, they can learn French from workplace. So I think the French teacher of tomorrow should be somebody that can handle those tools easily to be more efficient.
Stay up to date with the changes, because there are a lot of changes and you have to adapt, because the world is evolving a lot. So now nobody wants to, I can't even remember the last time I touched chalk. In fact, to be honest with you, ever since I started, I've not had to use chalk because we don't even use chalk, but I started with marker. But I can't even remember the last time I used marker on the board. Yeah, I've seen that marker is not really working anymore. Everything is on the internet, technology. And a lot of people like being engaged. Some people are like, addicted to the screen. So why don't you use the screen and capture the attention, and you can still teach them with the screen. So the tomorrow French teacher needs to be acquainted with the changes, the evolution, try to evolve alongside with the world, and also try to come out from the analog method of teaching, because nobody wants to sit down and hear stories, talk. You have to bring in your teaching, bring in movies, bring in songs, bring in dramas, make the language fun, because the truth be told, it has never been easy to learn a language.
The French teacher of tomorrow will have to be somebody who can adapt to different situations. The French teacher of tomorrow will also be somebody who can incorporate technology into his or her class, and then be able to use the new tools that are coming out day by day to make his or her class fun and interesting.
Well, I started learning French when I was in primary school and throughout my secondary school. So far, I'm planning to learn French when I go to university as well. So.
I learned French in Alliance Française, Enugu, between 2017 and 2021. In April this year, I started coming to the Institut Français de Nigéria for conversation classes. It has its perks. Being bilingual has certain advantages for me. I mean, for example, when I go online on social media, I'm able to understand perfectly and interact with French tweets, posts, or news, and that is one very interesting skill that I have. So at work, when I meet people who can speak, the French language, it helps the clients be more comfortable and, more reassured when, someone can speak the language I understand. And that has been.
So far, it's been very good. Although I haven't met any other French Francophone citizens outside of Alliance Française, it's okay. I sometimes communicate with my dad. He knows a little French, so it's really helpful.
When I started learning the French language, it was more like a pastime, but over time I was inspired to use it to pursue my studies. So by His grace, in the nearest future, I intend to travel to France to do my master's in international relations.
In the future, I'm actually going to Canada, so French will be very useful while I'm there. I'll be able to communicate, move around, probably get a job whilst I'm in school as well. So.
Je m'appelle Osinachi Uchenna Ago, and happy International French Teachers Day.
Je m'appelle Emmanuel. Joyeuse fête des profs. Merci.
Je m'appelle Rotimi Adjayi et je souhaite à tous les professeurs une journée fantastique des professeurs de français.
Alors, je m'appelle Ekanem. Bonne fête des professeurs.
And bravo pour tous vos efforts et merci.